I traveled 24 hours from the continent to join Thanksgiving with relatives. Upon reaching, my father remarked, "This could have been a splendid occasion. What brings you here?" My sibling chimed in, "You have not merited a place at our gathering." I responded, "Appreciate the clarity. I will halt all recurring transfers immediately." Then I exited the group message. 60 minutes passed. Father expressed remorse for his statement. "My name is Alex. I'm 33, the eldest child, the one who relocated abroad. I create ventures for work. I rest with my device on silent mode, and my mind juggling a dozen ideas. I'm the person who resolves salary issues at 3 a.m. and presents at 9. When folks inquire about my residence, I claim an aircraft. It's largely accurate. I reserved the flight since I craved a typical activity once. Thanksgiving, poultry, lame humor, familiar sense. I journeyed 24 hours from the old world, 3 layovers, 1 faulty chair, and an infant who wailed in my ear like a siren the whole ocean crossing. I emerged from the terminal in a creased sweatshirt with a valise packed with presents and a paper sack of baked goods I lined up for at 5 a.m. in the French capital. Because my mother adores almond pastries. I messaged the relatives discussion. Touching down, 20 minutes distant. Nobody replied. The rideshare entered my parents' avenue, beyond the yards I once trimmed without charge because kin do not tally points. My torso tensed the way it usually does upon spotting the aged postbox with the worn silver lettering. I seized the baked goods, the valise, my computer case, since I cannot abandon it anywhere without anxiety, and ascended the stairs. The entrance swung open prior to my knock. My father stood there in a fresh pullover, the type he purchases to appear relaxed. He scanned me head to toe as if I were a parcel misdelivered. "This could have been a splendid occasion," he uttered, tone even. "What brings you here?" I blinked. Fatigue from travel struck me abruptly. "Because it is Thanksgiving, I informed you last week." From the eating area, my sibling's seat scraped. She reclined so I could view her expression, already prepared. "You have not merited a place at our gathering," she declared, composed, rehearsed, as if she practiced it before a reflector. The home fell utterly silent. The screen in the sitting room continued airing a sports match to vacant viewers. I remained there with the baked goods chilling in my grasp, my valise bumping my leg, and an inner part of me executed a tiny, exact break. "All right," I stated. Merely that. No monologue, no outburst. I entered, placed the baked goods sack on the foyer seat I constructed with my father at age 15, and surveyed as if touring a gallery of an existence I no longer possessed. Mother emerged in her cooking garb, drying her palms. She noticed me, noticed the baked goods, noticed the hour. Her grin failed to touch her gaze. "Clean up," she instructed. "Meal at 2, if you remain." If I remain. I inhaled a breath flavored with spice and aged particles and gulped firmly enough to ache. I did not proceed to the basin. I did not initiate conflict. I simply lingered and recorded specifics because that is my coping method. The arc of the illumination above the surface, the fowl resting beneath cover, my sibling's device face down yet still glowing with notifications. "Alex," father stated, restless now, "shut the entrance. You are allowing warmth to escape." I shut it. I held my tongue. I observed. The moment imprinted itself upon me phrase by phrase, and for the initial time in ages, I sensed something chillier than the local wind enveloped me. I was finished performing for this role. As a youngster, funds were accreed. We offered to education savings not in my name. We revered at the shrine of offerings we render for kin, which implied my father labored extra turns, and my mother crafted detailed charts on each coin's destination. The figures always recognized my sibling's identity: touring athletics, strings, retreats, instructors. "She possesses promise," mother would declare. "We are allocating." I possessed promise also. It simply did not match their pamphlet. I disassembled ancient machines. I marketed sweets at institution with a premium and a fidelity card prior to knowing those terms. I trimmed yards and developed a site for the nearby patisserie. When I suggested, perhaps I could launch something, father stated, "Launch by securing a genuine position." Mother stated, "Avoid shaming us." Thus I secured a genuine position. I scripted programs at a station under poor lamps and pursued a venture nocturnally on a used portable with a ventilator that hummed like a dryer. I covered my own communication plan at 19. I covered lodging at 20. At 24, I departed for the German city because a financier stated, "Come construct it here," and I believed if I inserted a C between us, the kin regulations would cease pursuing me. They did not. Separation merely extended the cord. Initially, I dispatched funds since I was able, minor items, fresh wheels for mother's vehicle because the flakes are severe this season, a medical invoice because the excess is harsh, my sibling's brief bridge until her training compensates, which evolved into monthly brief aid. Nobody requested politely. It was presumed, the way you presume attraction. "You are faring so excellently," mother would declare. "We are so pleased with you." Pleased implied, we possess your account details. When I called, I carried offerings, proofs, and regrets. I did not carry my labor. I learned prematurely that if I mentioned, we delivered, my father heard, I believe I surpass you. If I mentioned, we secured, my sibling heard, you owe me a claim. Thus I ceased mentioning anything. I permitted the funds to communicate. Poor practice. Prior year was a haze. We introduced, faced obstacles, adjusted, discovered market alignment, and sealed a cycle that rendered our path less precipice-like. I did not share it. My partner did because he is ordinary. My mother messaged a capture with, impressive, and you never even informed us. 2 minutes later, your sibling's fresh role is in advising major entities. 4 minutes later, a connection to my sibling's profile with 30 markers. I entered felicitations and erased it. I entered pleased for her and erased that also. I dispatched a raised digit like a timid person. Transfers sprouted anchors. Recurring transfers to my parents' dwelling established the year father's firm reduced shifts. A repeated shift, labeled education for my young relative's care. My sibling's plastic that somehow magically directed invoices to my inbox. I convinced myself I was performing what a proper offspring does. I convinced myself I was fortunate. It is simple to be bountiful when you transform foreign currency into local and avoid the conversion in your thoughts. But bountifulness became a tether. We are a unit. Mother stated, when I inquired if we could suspend one of the shifts after a poor month, your sibling is struggling. I compensated. Next month, father dispatched me an image of the fresh cooker. Kin required delight. I compensated. When the venture encountered a strange slump and I ceased drawing wages for a trimester, I continued compensating and consumed quick meals like I was 22 anew. I did not inform them. If I mentioned, we are constrained, father would label me reckless. If I mentioned, I am pressured, my sibling would share a saying about limits and dispatch me a payment plea for midday meal. I attempted to establish minor borders. Hey, the plastic is for crises. She responded, I lacked a tire for the assembly. I wrote, then skip it. She wrote, impressive, you have transformed. Mother phoned, she is connecting, be encouraging, I compensated. The phrasing evolved. May you assist, became, you will handle this. Gratitude became, dispatch it prior to weekend. If I failed to respond in 60 minutes, my father inserted a lower digit in the discussion like he was scoring me. The evening I ultimately stated, we cannot continue this. My mother stated, you reside in the continent. You ignore what provisions cost now. My sibling dispatched a capture of a $300 provision invoice and wrote, inform me what to return financier. It was not solely funds. It was placement at Thanksgiving 2 years prior on video. My sibling quipped Alex is our kin dispenser, and all chuckled like it was an endearing label. I silenced myself and gazed at my own visage in the small box, and viewed an individual who had constructed something for unknowns and nothing for himself. Then arrived this fall. I queried early if they desired me residence. Mother wrote, it is your choice. Father wrote nothing. My sibling wrote a 3-section renewal about her advancement path and concluded with anyhow, spots will be limited. I reviewed that section twice. I reserved anyhow. I convinced myself I was overreacting. I convinced myself matters would differ face to face. They always do, correct. Individuals act better when you stand in the entrance, grasping the baked goods they favor. The evening prior to my journey, I remained awake late, addressing issues for the group and configuring my absence notice. I tossed my sweatshirt in the cleaner, so I would not odor like terminals. I outputted travel documents because I secretly adore sheets. I selected a view seat so I could observe vapors and picture my youth lane as a segment on a chart, tiny and benign. I notified the group arriving land at 10:20. I will secure transport over. Require anything, I bring silence at the boarding area. A gentleman in a sports cap inquired where I was bound residence. I stated on the aircraft. I composed a salute in my notes program in case father requested I utter something. It was sentimental and genuine and referenced how my sibling maintained the dwelling noisy when I departed for university, and how that was covertly reassuring. I dozed on the final segment, device face down on my shelf. The salute open half completed. Then the entrance swung at my parents' dwelling and father inquired, what brings you here? And my sibling stated, you have not merited a place. In the hush that ensued something ancient in me, some youth who desired selection, rose, bowed, and departed the platform. I placed my luggage by the garment stand. I could sense father awaiting my regret for existing in his entrance. I did not. I proceeded to the cooking area, cleansed my palms, and examined the cooler. There were images of my sibling grasping beverage with inscriptions and script on holders. Leader female, none of me, not even the one mother used to retain of me at 14 grasping the experiment award. Sit, mother stated, indicating a perch like I was 12. I perched. The surface was chilly under my hands. My sibling rolled her gaze at me and murmured to mother loudly enough. We stated the roster was complete. He always centers it on him. I gazed at father. I journeyed 24 hours. He shrugged. Thus, the sports match bellowed, and for a moment, it was a standard holiday. Then father cleared his throat, performed that supervisory tone and stated, "This is a kin occasion. We require no turmoil. Your sibling is directing. There is a scheme. You were not in the scheme." My jaw firmed. I maintained my tone soft. "I informed you I was arriving. You always inform us after you have chosen," my sibling stated, creasing a cloth like she was on screen. "You do not inquire." I sensed the foolish warmth behind my eyes and despised it. I desired to be present. "And we desired," father stated, "a serene occasion." He motioned toward the eating area like my existence was a gale. "There is a point you attain where you cease debating and begin perceiving." The space clarified. On the surface sat my mother's device, glowing with the kin discussion. My name in colored orbs. Prior notifications I had not reviewed because I was journeying. I rotated the display like instinct. Mother grabbed it back. "Too delayed." I viewed the final line my sibling had dispatched 60 minutes before I touched down. "If he appears, we adhere to the placement diagram." My tone emerged firm. "All right, you have selected." At last, my sibling stated. A mature reply. I rose, dried my palms on a cloth, and gazed at father. "You know I have been covering your dwelling for a year." "Hush." Mother's head turned sharply. My sibling halted. Father's mouth moved like he ingested the incorrect term. "Not now," mother whispered. "Do not." "I am not debating," I stated. "I am explaining." Father aligned his posture. "Nobody requested you to." I chuckled. It was not a pleasant noise. "You requested every month. That is not just," mother stated. "We are appreciative." My sibling sneered. "He desires ovation." "He always desires ovation." I shook my head. "No, I desire truthful calculations." "Alex," father stated, tone firm. "Cease it." I gazed at the timer on the oven, the hour variance in my frame, the salute still lingering unfinished in my device. I considered the recurring transfers timed for the month's start. I considered my group resting now in the German city, relying on me to choose wisely. "All right," I stated softly. "Since you desire serenity, I will provide it to you." "What implies that?" mother inquired, wary. "It implies," I stated, and I gazed at my sibling because she desired the performance. "I am finished being your dispenser." Her expression wavered. "Pardon me, you heard me." Father advanced. "Caution." "Caution of what?" I inquired. "Caution of uttering no." He parted his mouth, sealed it, parted it anew. "I journeyed here to join you," I stated. "You informed me I had not merited a place." View the balance closed. The space chilled. Mother murmured, "We can converse later or not." "No," I stated. "We are finished conversing later." I am exiting the discussion, and I am halting all recurring transfers today. My sibling chuckled like I uttered a quip she intended to reshare. "Proceed, grand person." I nodded. "I will." And that was the fracture, the silent, neat division between the existence where I continued compensating to be endured and the existence where I did not. I did not bang entrances. I did not hurl the baked goods. I seized my valise, my computer case, the paper sack of almond pastries, and proceeded back into the chill. The heavens were a dull cover. My device hummed with a postponed surge. Terminal connection must have connected. Notifications piled from the kin discussion. Like a record of an error, I continued committing. I requested a rideshare to the inn by the water. On the trip, I accessed my finance program. Labels I had penned in kinder periods gazed back at me. Father's dwelling, young relative's education, kin's safeguard. I felt absurd and oddly gentle toward my former self, the one who trusted that labels could render offering less uneven. I switched each one off. Verify, verify, verify. I navigated to my sibling's plastic, the one with the relaxation fees and the labor footwear that exceeded lodging in my initial flat. I shifted it to dormant. I captured the display because I knew they would claim I did not notify them. I did not dispatch it, not yet. At the inn, the reception employee viewed my expression and stated, "Extended day." I nodded. "Relatives," I stated. He grimaced in unity and provided me an access card and a container of liquid like a remedy. Upstairs, I cleansed off the journey and the dwelling. I donned fresh trousers and a sweatshirt that did not odor like 12 zones. I phoned my partner. He responded on the initial tone, drowsy. "You all right?" "Yes," I stated. "I just performed an action." He attended. He always does. When I recited the precise terms father uttered in the entrance, he was silent for a lengthy pause. "You know you performed correctly," he stated. "I know," I stated. "Then, I believe I know." We conversed for 20 minutes about all except labor. When we ended, I sensed like the surface beneath me had formed anew. I requested in-meal poultry because it was Thanksgiving and I am predictable. While awaiting, I composed a notification to the kin discussion. Brief, evident. "Hey, I am at an inn. I journeyed to join you. You clarified I was not desired. I am halting all transfers until we can conduct a mature dialogue with limits and schedules. I will not attend the meal. I did not dispatch it yet, not because I feared, because I desired the choice to be serene, not a response to rush. I activated the screen, sports anew. It sounded like backdrop to an existence I no longer fit. In meal wrapped. The poultry was overly briny, the pureed roots ideal. I consumed all the pureed roots, half the poultry, and 1 almond pastry. I placed the remainder in the cooler and chuckled aloud in a vacant space. At 2:05 p.m. my device glowed. Where are you from mother? Then 3 points, then nothing. At 2:09 p.m. from father, you are overacting, return here. At 2:12 p.m. from my sibling, mature. Individuals are inquiring your location. I gazed at the 3 notifications and sensed my pulse decelerate. I composed the note I composed. I added, do not phone me until tomorrow. I pressed dispatch. I exited the discussion. Hush is a noise you must acclimate to. It requires time. The initial minutes felt like rising after an extended journey when your limbs distrust you. At 3:03 p.m., father phoned. I observed it vibrate. I allowed it to pass. Then he phoned anew, then anew. I placed the device face down on the bedside and deactivated connection like a belief. At 4:10 p.m., mother messaged an image of the surface. My perch was vacant. My sibling had positioned an ornamental gourd there like a quip and inscribed it, Timely Alex. I flipped my device over and did not view it anew. I strolled by the water as the metropolis illuminated. A youth tossed crumbs to birds and yelled when they advanced. A pair debated gently on a seat about which relations to see at Winterfest. My palms were chilly in my pockets. I sensed buoyant and ill simultaneously. Back at the inn, I accessed my portable. I did not program. I created a chart, ancient practice titled Relatives. 1 section for obligations I had taken, another for limits I should have placed, a third for genuine requirements versus desires. I penned phrases in the edges like an instruction for a fresh edition of me. Any funds I dispatch must have a conclusion date. Any aid must link to a scheme, not an atmosphere. No is a full phrase. I rested poorly. Every vision was a variant of the entrance. Father repeated the same phrase in varied tones. At 7:02 a.m., my device rang anew. Father, I responded. His tone was weary. I should not have uttered that. Yes, I stated. He breathed out, your sibling. She desired directing. She desired it flawless. Flawless did not require including demeaning me. A pause. In my ear, I heard cooking noises. The rattle of remorse. We are kin, he stated, like that resolved the calculations. Precisely, I stated. We relied on you, he stated quietly. We should not have. Those terms felt like pieces fitting into position. Father, I stated serene. It is not about relying on me. It is about tallying it all. I do not comprehend. I gulped. You never inquired what I could truly provide. You presumed I could always offer because I departed. Because my existence appears glossy on your display. I ceased drawing wages for 3 months this warm season. I continued covering everything. You acquired a cooker. Hush. In the distance, mother stated something I could not grasp. Father cleared his throat. We did not realize, he stated, because you did not inquire. I allowed it to linger. He allowed it to linger. Finally, he stated, visit, we will converse. Not now, I stated. Tomorrow, midday, no shouting. No indirect through mother or my sibling. Just us. I will carry records. You carry a writer. He nearly chuckled. A writer? Yes, I stated. We are going to inscribe things down. We ended. I stood in a silent in space and sensed a peculiar, adult contentment settle in my torso. Not retaliation, not victory, just the lack of pleading. I messaged my partner, midday meal is resumed Monday. And unrelated, I believe my father is going to grasp what a plan is. He responded with a raised digit and an image of someone sealing a pipe. The following day, I boarded the rail to my parents' dwelling with a binder in my pack. I did not carry baked goods. Father encountered me on the veranda without the fresh pullover. He appeared diminished somehow. We perched at the cooking surface with dark brew and no sports. I accessed the binder, display shifts, monthly sums, a roster of compensations the past 2 years. I am not requesting anything returned, I stated. I am requesting a scheme. We reviewed line by line. Mother entered 60 minutes in, quieter than I have observed her. My sibling lingered in the passage and then vanished when it became actual. This one, father stated, indicating father's dwelling. We can suspend. We will manage it. Good, I stated, because I suspended it yesterday. He nodded like a man sampling remedy. All right, care. Mother inquired, tone moist now. How long until? Conclusion of present session, I stated. 2 months. Then I am removed. I am not the guardian here. She shut her eyes, just. My sibling messaged me from above as if we were not in the same dwelling. You are harsh. I placed my device face down. This one, I stated, tapping safeguard pool. We retain, but it is a line with a limit, and if utilized, you dispatch a proof within 24 hours. If the term relaxation appears, I sever it. Father snorted despite himself. Agreement. We inscribed it down. We inscribed it all down. When we completed, Father gazed at the sheet like it was a guide out of a labyrinth he constructed unintentionally. He attempted to utter gratitude. It stuck in his throat. I did not simplify it. I just nodded. As I rose to depart, Mother contacted my cloth. We were unkind, she stated, not quite gazing. You were, I stated. We are attempting, she stated. Attempt more, I stated, and I did not utter it harshly. I uttered it like I would to a colleague. On the veranda, father cleared his throat. About yesterday, he stated. I know, I stated. 60 minutes later, you regretted it, he grimaced. Yes, good, I stated. Continue regretting it until you alter. He did not debate. He opened the entrance for me like he used to. I journeyed back to the continent 2 days later. The aircraft was quieter on the departure. I rested without visions of entrances. When we touched down, my device awakened and performed its usual display. Group discussion. Financier note. 1 notification from mother. We will handle the compensations. Gratitude for everything you have performed. We will dispatch a renewal next week. No affection symbol. That was novel. I proceeded to the workplace with brew and no alarm. My partner inquired how it proceeded. I stated we composed a plan. He chuckled like it was more intense than that, and perhaps it was, but the dull terms are the ones that rescue you. In the nights that week, I kept awaiting the darkness to return. It did not. The vacant area where the monthly blame used to reside filled with minor items I forgot I enjoyed. Extended jogs along the waterway, preparing for companions without viewing my device during meal in case a kin invoice required consent. I found myself humming in the duplication space and nearly regretted to nobody. 3 minor events occurred. First, my sibling eliminated me from the kin coordination discussion she formed. It hurt less than an insect sting. A day later, she messaged separately. You proved your stance. I responded. I did not prove a stance. I proved a limit. She did not respond. Second, father dispatched an image of a manual sheet affixed to the cooler titled Dwelling Plan with uneven sections and marks. It appeared like assignment. He wrote, we will attempt this. For the initial time and ages, I trusted him. Third, I accessed my finance program on the month's start and viewed no departing kin lines. The hush felt like a fresh lodging, resonant, full of potential. Here is what I retained. I still cherish them. Cherish is not a membership. Aiding is not identical to being reaped. My place at any surface is merited by my personhood, not my electronic shifts. I require not the ancient perch at their Thanksgiving. If they request me next year, I will inquire what our meal is and whether I can carry sweet. If they state, what brings you here? I will state because I desired to, and I will depart if the space requires my respect as compensation. I am not the kin dispenser. I am Alex. I construct items. I construct ventures. I construct limits. And the lesson is straightforward. Cherish without bills, or do not label it cherish.